stand next to him so I want everyone to be able to see your faces, okay? You might need to just be careful here. All right, there we go. And we'll do this a little. Okay, there we go. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay.
Center?
Yeah, tell me. That's why we have guys like that. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon or evening, but welcome to one of the most beautiful, glorious occasions ever to be held here in the Union Club. Everyone welcome on behalf of Edward and Annie to this very special day. We gather here today to join together this man and woman in marriage. It is an estate instituted in love, occasioned by joy, and honored and received by each man and woman who pledge themselves to one another. It is therefore not to be entered into unadvised or lightly, but with discretion and reverence for its responsibility, as well as with praise and delight for its inexpressible gifts. This is truly a special day and a joyous occasion. The ceremony we are performing proclaims a bond already existing between you and celebrates a mutual invitation to a common future. Edward and Annie, we wish for you a love which makes both of you better people, which continues to give you joy and zest for living, and which provides you with renewed energy to face the responsibilities of life. Our celebration today is an outward sign of a sacred inward commitment. Such a union can only be created by two loving persons, be maintained by abiding will, and be constantly renewed by human feelings and intentions. It is in this spirit that you two stand before me. Edward, will you take Annie to be your wedded wife?
I will.
And Annie, will you take Edward to be your wedded husband?
I will.
Will you please join hands, look each other in the eye?
Maid of honor?
Maid of honor and ring bearer, both. And repeat your vows. I will start with Edward. I, Edward,
I, Edward,
take you, Annie,
take you, Annie,
to be my wedded wife,
to be my wedded wife,
to have and to hold,
to have and to hold,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poor,
for richer, or for poor,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love, honor, and cherish all the days of my life.
all the days of my life.
Annie, please repeat after me. I, Annie, take you, Edward,
Take you, Edward,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband,
to have and to hold,
You can't stop now.
to have and to hold,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
better for worse,
for richer, for poor,
richer or poor,
in sickness and in health,
sickness and health,
to love, honor,
honor,
and cherish
and cherish.
all the days of my life.
We're almost there. All the days of my life.
It's nice to see a mixture of laughing and tears. Edward, do you have a ring in token of your vows? And we have our ring bearer, please. Okay, thank you. Edward, would you place your ring on Annie's left hand and repeat after me? With this ring,
With this ring,
I thee wed,
I thee wed,
and pledge thee my faith.
and pledge thee my faith.
Annie, do you have a ring in token of your vows?
I do.
Thanks, John. Would you please place your ring on Edward's left hand and repeat after me? With this ring,
With this ring,
I thee wed,
I thee wed,
and pledge thee my faith.
and pledge thee my faith. Beautiful.
For inasmuch as Edward and Annie have consented to live together in wedlock and have declared the same by the joining of hands and the giving and receiving of rings, By virtue of the power vested in me as judge of the Rocky River Municipal Court, State of Ohio, I do now pronounce you are husband and wife. Edward, you may kiss the bride. Mr. and Mrs. Edward Donnelly, thank you.
What do we do?
We go down to the cocktail hour?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, welcome to the beautiful, historic Union Club in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. Today is December 12, 2023. I am DJ DC from Cleveland Music Group, and I want you to help me welcome the following people. Please put your hands together and welcome, for the first time in public, Mr. and Mrs. Edward and Annie Donnelly. And now, the bride and groom will have the cutting of the cake ceremony.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love, is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it.
Let's hear it for you newlyweds once again, everybody. The new Mr. and Mrs. Donnelly.
If you've ever watched a West Texas sunrise, it's like a wildfire painted on a canvas of blue. A sight so beautiful you can't believe your eyes. That's what I see when I see you. A priceless work of art, one in a million hearts. My world, my queen, my girl, my everything. When I see you, I see all I've ever wanted. When I see you, I see my dreams coming true. When I see you, I can see there's no one else for me. Blinded by love, that's what I see when I see you. Just like a bride as she comes walking down the aisle. It's the way the groom stares at all of her gorgeous view. Yeah, when you walk in, that's why you always see me smile. 'Cause that's what I see when I see you. A priceless work of art, one in a million hearts. My world, my queen, my girl, my everything. When I see you, I see all I've ever wanted. When I see you, I see my dreams coming true. When I see you, I can see there's no one else for me. I could just start gazing in my wonder down in the cool grass underneath the harvest moon. You look to the heavens for admiration, but I can't take my eyes off of you. When I see you, I see all I've ever wanted. When I see you, I see my dreams coming true. Yeah, when I see you, I can see there's no one else for me. Blinded by love, that's what I see when I see you. Girl, when I see you, I can see.
Well, let's hear it for you, newlyweds, everybody. Once again, the new Mr. and Mrs. Donnelly. And I'd like to introduce Ed is to dance with his daughter, Charlotte.
Little hands wrapped around my finger, and it's so quiet in the world tonight. Your little eyelids flutter 'cause you're dreaming, so I tuck you in, turn on your favorite night light. To you, everything is funny. You got nothing to regret. I'd give all I have, honey, if you could stay like that. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. Just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. It could stay this simple. No one's ever burned you. Nothing's ever left you scarred. And even though you want to, just try to never grow up. You're in the car on the way to the movies, and you're mortified your mama's dropping you off. At 14, there's just so much you can't do, and you can't wait to move out someday and call your own shots. Don't make her drive you off around the block. Remember, she's getting older too. Don't lose the way that you dance around in your PJs, getting ready for school. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. Just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. You could stay this simple. Won't let nobody hurt you. Won't let no one break your heart. And no one will desert you. Just try to never grow up. Don't you ever grow up.
Let's give a nice round of applause for Ed and his daughter Charlotte, Andy's daughter Charlotte, on a beautiful day, December 2nd, 2023. Before we get started with dinner, I'd like to introduce, for the first time, your father of the bride, Mr. John Dunn, everybody.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is a momentous occasion for Colleen and me and our family. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you here. If I can't turn all the way around, you know I'm talking to you back there as well. But we're very happy to have you with us tonight as we go forward in this beautiful evening. Good food, good drink, and hopefully many happy memories. Colleen and I particularly want to send a special welcome to Sally Donnelly, Ed's mom, and his sisters, Teresa and Justin, her husband, Susan and Sean Marks. And a special welcome to the Colleen's family, the O'Grady's, Colleen's mom, Mary O'Grady, who's here with us, and Colleen's brothers and sisters and their families. There are numerous cousins and nephews and nieces and so forth also in attendance, and we are very, very happy to be together with you. I want to make a special welcome to my sister, Pat Liptak, and her husband, Walter, my niece, Tricia Wallersheim, and her husband, Steve, who've come from Wisconsin, my nephew, Kevin Larkin, and his wife, Kelly, who've come from Virginia, and my cousin, Pam Howe, and her husband, John, who've come from Arizona. So they've traveled some distance to be here with us, but we're delighted that they're here, and these people all have had a great bearing on our lives and Annie's life over the years. I want also to just say that Ed fits in very well with our family. We were delighted to meet Ed and get to know Ed, and we're very pleased. It's also nice having kind of a resident handyman on premise here, since I am very inept in those kinds of things. More about Ed later from my son Michael, I'm sure. Annie is the third of our four children. I recall that shortly after her birth, I remember thanking God that I had a daughter. And I loved my sons, and I was happy to be blessed with sons, but I was very happy to have a daughter. And she's justified that joy many times in my life throughout the years. She is the third of four children. She, being the only girl with her three brothers, she, and all the rough and tumble and the sibling dynamics that entails, she endured it and she survived. I think it's fair to say that from a very early age, Annie got men and got boys. She knew how to navigate them, and she was very adept at surviving, let me put it that way. In fact, one of the anecdotes about Annie is that at St. Angela's grade school in her early grades, one of the lunch ladies came up to Colleen during the lunch hour and said, "You know, Mrs. Dunn, we're a little concerned. Annie doesn't eat with the girls. She eats with the boys, you know?" And that kind of set the tone, I think, for Annie going forward in life. So she's held true to that. This is your day, Annie. It's especially for you. You've worked tirelessly for it. You've dreamed about it, I'm sure, since you were a little girl. As a teenage girl, as a DePaul Demon girl, as a Second City girl, and also as a Sherwin-Williams girl. I mean lady. I'm sorry. I lost my head there. She's, so many people have asked me, was there a word that I could use to describe Annie that would kind of epitomize her? And I thought about it, and one word kept coming back to me, and the word was irrepressible. Irrepressible. And basically what that means is that unable to be restrained and unable to be controlled. Incapable of being repressed. She's energetic and she's lively. She's impossible to hold back, and she's full of energy and enthusiasm. And all those, Annie, epitomize you in my judgment. And I have borne the brunt of all those traits through these many years, but I'm happy to do so now. Most of these descriptors are very, very apt characterizations of you. Your irrepressibility generally has served you well and helped you achieve the things you have in life. Going forward, I hope that you will draw on those same skills and those same traits. You have learned at home and that you've learned at school, and the values of your faith and the other things you've learned in sports and your training and experience in your career, your business career at Sherwin. Take those good things, build on them, honey, and move ahead. Always be conscious of who you are, where you came from, and what your values are. You know your values, and they will serve you well. I'm trying to think that, just to conclude, in any marriage going forward, there's good and bad, ups and downs, and all that stuff is fair game, and it comes and you deal with it. And if you're true to your values and true to yourself and each other, you will ride it out. And at the end of the day, as the old John Prine song says, you'll find yourself sitting on a rainbow, just like your mom and I are, in a sense. Even with lots of other things in our lives, we're sitting on a rainbow, comparatively speaking, and we know it. So God bless you all for coming. Thank you, and have a great night.
Hi. So thank everybody for coming here. As you know, and as Mr. Dunn said, Annie, you are the type of girl that lights up the room, and tonight that is just magnified by a million. So you look absolutely gorgeous. Edward, you look okay. And yes, I called him Edward. I don't think I'll ever call him Ed like everybody else does, so sorry about that. For those of you who don't know me, I am Edward's older, wiser, and much more charismatic older sister, Susan. Although we've not lived in the same state for 20 years, my brother and I have always been extremely close. He's one of the first people that I call when something great happens or when something not so great happens, I'm having a hard time. He's there to listen, take my side, or give me a reality check when I am not being so nice, so thank you for that. In all honesty, my brother's one of the most caring and thoughtful people that I've ever met. His whole life, he's put the feelings of others in front of his own, and he always tries to do the right thing. Growing up, we definitely had our shares of ups and downs. Edward's the youngest, and with that comes some struggles. My sisters and I constantly messed with him. I specifically remember one time we told him that the Ninja Turtles lived in the sewer outside our house. And although he swore he didn't believe us, it was not days later that Edward was out there by the sewer looking for Leonardo and Donatello. The poor guy. But before you say, oh, poor Edward, there was also one time that he and I got into an argument, and then I went into the bathroom to find all of my trolls lined up without hair. So I don't know if he was a disgruntled brother or maybe a sociopath, and I don't know, but he's not so innocent. Edward has always also had a very special relationship with our mother. There's a word for that, I'm not sure what it is, you might know. We used to joke that when his glass was empty, he would shake his ice and she would jump up to fill it up for him. I used to think it was a joke until I got older and I realized that it really wasn't a joke at all. Every time he comes to visit, you would literally think that the president was coming into town. She bakes all of his favorite goods, she makes all of his favorite meals. Me, I'm always thirsty and hungry. I'm not really sure how that works out, but that's fine, totally fine. Right out of high school, Edward enlisted into the Navy. Now, although my mother begged him not to go, she knew that his mind was made up. He made some really great friends during his times in the service, but there was one that really stood out. He was sarcastic and funny and instantly one of my favorites. Enter John Dunn. It would be a while before we met in person, but we clicked instantly. I knew that he was going to be one of Edward's lifelong friends. Little did I know that he'd also end up being his brother-in-law. As time went on, I got to know John a little bit better, and I was also introduced to his sister Annie. Someone funnier and wittier than John Dunn? Enter Annie Dunn. I didn't think that was possible. We became friends on Instagram, and I found myself obsessed with watching her stories. She was literally one of the funniest people I had ever met. Soon I would learn that she was equally as caring and smart as she was funny. Literally the total package. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when Edward's missing wallet ended up at Annie's apartment when he went to visit John. That was so weird. Their relationship got serious fast, and I love sitting back and watching it develop. Edward, you're able to be yourself when you're with Annie, and that's so important. She brings out the best in you, and I love seeing you so happy. When Charlotte was born in March, your perfect little family began. She's just a tiny little bundle of happiness and joy, and I love watching her grow. Coming to Ohio in July for the baptism was a great time, and we got to meet the rest of the Dunn family, who are equally as wonderful as John and Annie. Edward, what a lucky guy you are to enter into this family. I'm so happy that my brother has found such a wonderful woman to spend the rest of his life with. You both deserve the best things in this world, and I think you found it with each other. So I'd like you to raise your glass as I toast my brother and my new sister-in-law. Edward and Annie, my greatest wish for you is that through the years, your love for each other will grow so much that years from now, you'll look back on tonight, your wedding night, as the night that you two loved each other the least. Cheers to Annie and Ed.
All right, Susan, you said a lot of nice compliments about my sister, so clearly you haven't gotten to know her yet. So we'll ask you in a couple years if you still feel the same way. I would also like to welcome everyone for coming for their big day. I mean, it's stunning. This whole night has been a really good use of money. So my plan tonight is just to keep it short. I would like to tell the story of Ann and Ed, because it reads like a fairy tale. So for those of you, I know it's been addressed a couple times, Ed was a close Navy buddy of our brother John's. Him and Mike Platt, I know where Mike is here. Abraham Lincoln back there. All good buddies, would get together every year, kind of as a reunion, get together and party. So John, a couple years ago, was nice enough to invite our sister Ann out. So fast forward about 4 hours, Ann's feeling good and wants to show Ed that she's interested in him. And a lot of ways to do that. And Ann decides to go the food route of feeding him. And it's one thing with a dessert or some fruit or something, but Ann decided to hand feed him her Caesar salad. So Ed is trying to visit with his friends, they're out partying, and my sister is sliding pieces of romaine lettuce and croutons into his mouth while he's trying to visit with his buddies. So somehow Ed was unfazed by that. And so a couple weeks later, Ed reaches out to John and kind of asks for his blessing of, can we see where this goes? John does give his blessing, however, with one caveat. And I quote, John said, "Ed, she's a fucking monster." Somehow, Ed pushes through. They start dating. Ed was in Dallas. Ann's in Cleveland. They're spending weekends going back and forth. And, eventually they reach a point where they realize that, someone's going to have to make a change and give up their life. And, as Ann's friends at that table know, Ann's very selfless and doesn't have to get her way and easygoing. So naturally, Ed left his life behind and came to Cleveland. So, as a member of, Ed was on the Fort Worth Police Department's mounted unit, so he's got a love for horses. And so one of the conditions of moving here was buying a horse. And so they bought this big beautiful beast, and they're boarding it, and Ed, his love. I can't. It's not so much riding them. All right, never mind. So they got the horse, and as we all know, that's one of the smartest financial decisions one can make, is buying and boarding a horse. So they have the horse, and you can imagine what goes into that. So they settle into life in Cleveland. Ed's getting used to the new climate here, having to run over to my parents to pull my dad out of the shower after a fall. And then summer of 2022 comes. Ed proposes to Ann. Very exciting time. In an unrelated move, John moved to a farmhouse in Ashland. And he actually just came back, so I think the timing is pretty telling. And then the best part of this relationship arrived this last March when we had beautiful Charlotte arrive. It's been the greatest blessing of this relationship. But I want to assure you that Anne having a kid has not slowed down her social life. She handed it right off to my mom, and she's out every weekend. So, meanwhile, my mom is enjoying her life as a caretaker. She watches Charlotte Sunday through Sunday and has to keep up with the latest medical research on whatever foot infection my dad has going right now. In her spare time, you see her, the Fairview people see her pulling Charlotte and my dad around the block. So, and that brings us to tonight here at the beautiful Union Club. So, this beautiful venue. I mean, had I known my parents' entire retirement was up for grabs, maybe I would have had a wedding too. So, I ended up in a Chili's in Richmond, Virginia on my wedding day. But I do want to say that having Ed join the family has been awesome. He's got patience. He can tolerate all this. And it's been awesome. So I would like to end by sharing some advice for you guys as you embark on your life together. And kind of like Dad hinted at earlier, you know, marriage isn't always a walk in the park. There's you're sharing your life together. You're balancing demands of your jobs, kids. And on top of that, you guys are, you're still human. Everyone has a cross to bear. And after today, Ed, Ann is your cross. So I would ask everyone to think of Ed these next couple months as he accepts what he just did today. And lastly, I do want to say my sister has always been one of my closest friends, my favorite drinking buddy. And I'm very excited that you guys found each other. And I'm so happy that you never have to worry about childcare ever. You just always have it. That's so great. So if everyone will raise their glass, Ed, I don't know whether to say congratulations or sorry. Anne, congratulations. Cheers.
Excellent toast. Let's hear it one more time for your brother to the bride, Mr. Mike Dunn.
The green mountain, the sun was declining beneath the blue sea. When I strayed with my love to the pure crystal fountain that stands in the beautiful vale of Atlantis. She was lovely and fair as the rose of the summer, yet was not her beauty that won me. No, 'twas the truth in her eyes ever that made me love Mary, the rose of Tralee. The cool shades of evening their mantle were spreading, and Mary, smiling, sat listening to me. The moon through the valley her pale rays were shedding, when I won the heart of the rose of Tralee. He was lovely and fair as the rose of the summer, yet was not her beauty made me love Mary, the rose of Tralee.
Let's give a nice round of applause for John and his daughter Annie on a great day.
From sleepless nights and rocking chairs, your smiling face was always there. From little trucks and building blocks, you held my hand while I led you on. You were my best friend, my inspiration, the one I looked up to. Hey Mom, the first lady in my life was you. There were bedtime snacks and nursery rhymes. For goodnight prayers, there was always time. You taught me to live by the golden rule. Made sure I got to Sunday school. Your discipline with love my whole life through. The gentle touch was all I ever knew. The first lady in my life was you. Then later on came sports and games. You'd sit in the stands and call my name. And when I lose, you'd smile and say, son, I'm proud of you. Everything's okay. You were the one I'd always turn to when times were sad and blue. Hey Mom, the first lady in my life was you. There's so many things to say thank you for. Birthdays, camping, and so much more. The little things that mean so much, like laundry done with a loving touch. And who could forget 3 meals a day, carpool scouts and PTAs. Hey Mom, the first lady in my life was you. So here we are today, now I'm finally grown, about to take a wife and start a family of my own. Everything I am, I owe you. You molded me so carefully and you saw me through. It's hard to tell you how I feel without a lot of much, but I must tell you true. Hey Mom, I'm so glad the first lady in my life was you.
Let's give a nice round of applause for Sally Ann and her son, Edward.
house down. Come on and twist. Yeah, baby, twist. Yeah, just like this. Come on and twist. And do a twist.
Julio, get the stretch. Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we gon' show up. Smoother than a fresh drop. I'm too hot. Call the police and the firemen. I'm too hot. Like a dragon born to retirement. I'm too hot. They say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. Damn about that, let me break it down. Girl, said you hallelujah. Girl, said you hallelujah. Girl, said you hallelujah. 'Cause uptown funk don't give it to you. 'Cause uptown funk don't give it to you. 'Cause uptown funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip the coffee like it's your birthday. And you know we don't give a fuck 'cause that's your birthday. Find me in the club, out of football, mama, I got what you need. You need to feel the buzz. I'm in the having sex, I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug. You into getting rough. You find me in the club, out of football, mama, I got what you need. You need to feel the buzz. I'm in the having sex, I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug. You into getting rough. Front seat, it's all good. I hold 20 deep, so it's drama in the club. Yeah, and I roll with Trey, everybody show me love. And it feel like I'm in the plenty of groupie love. He ain't done the chain, goes down, G's up. I see exhibit in the cutting, man. Top off and watch how I move. You mistake before I play up here. Been with a few, but I don't want to live.
Right out of high school, Edward enlisted into the Navy. And although my mother begged him not to go, she knew that his mind was made up. He made some really great friends during his times in the service, but there was one that really stood out. Enter John Dunn. I knew that he was going to be one of Edward's lifelong friends. Little did I know that he'd also end up being his brother-in-law. As time went on, I got to know John a little bit better, and I was also introduced to his sister Annie. Someone funnier and wittier than John Dunn? Enter Annie Dunn.
John, a couple years ago, was nice enough to invite our sister Ann out. And so fast forward about 4 hours, Ann's feeling good and wants to show Ed that she's interested in him. And a lot of ways to do that. And Ann decides to go the food route of feeding him. And it's one thing with a dessert or some fruit or something, but Ann decided to hand feed him her Caesar salad. So Ed is trying to visit with his friends. They're out partying, and my sister is sliding pieces of romaine lettuce and croutons into his mouth.
so happy that my brother has found such a wonderful woman to spend the rest of his life with. You both deserve the best things in this world, and I think you found it with each other. Edward and Annie, my greatest wish for you is that through the years, your love for each other will grow so much that years from now, you'll look back on tonight, your wedding night, as the night that you two loved each other the least. Cheers to Annie and Ed. Right out of high school, Edward enlisted into the Navy. Now, although my mother begged him not to go, she knew that his mind was made up. He made some really great friends during his times in the service, but there was one that really stood out. Enter John Dunn. I knew that he was going to be one of Edward's lifelong friends. Little did I know that he'd also end up being his brother-in-law. As time went on, I got to know John a little bit better, and I was also introduced to his sister Annie. Someone funnier and wittier than John Dunn? Enter Annie Dunn.
John, a couple years ago, was nice enough to invite our sister Ann out. And so fast forward about 4 hours, Ann's feeling good and wants to show Ed that she's interested in him. And a lot of ways to do that. And Ann decides to go the food route of feeding him. And it's one thing with a dessert or some fruit or something, but Ann decided to hand feed him her Caesar salad. So Ed is trying to visit with his friends. They're out partying, and Ann is, my sister, is sliding pieces of romaine lettuce and croutons into his mouth.
I'm so happy that my brother has found such a wonderful woman to spend the rest of his life with. You both deserve the best things in this world, and I think you found it with each other. Edward and Annie, my greatest wish for you is that through the years, your love for each other will grow so much that years from now, you'll look back on tonight, your wedding night, as the night that you two loved each other the least. Cheers to Annie and Ed.